and Atum once sent his soul eye seek. Prayer is the application of the heart to God and the internal exercise of love. It is by prayer alone that we are brought into this presence and maintained in it without interruption. We must learn a species of prayer which may be exercised at all times, which does not obstruct outward employments, and which may be equally practiced by all. It cannot be the prayer of the head, but of the heart. Not a prayer of reason alone, which is so limited in its operations that it can have but one object at one time. But the prayer of the heart is not interrupted by the exercises of reason. Indeed, nothing can interrupt this prayer except irregular and disordered affections. And when once we have tasted of God and the sweetness of this love, we shall find it impossible to relish anything but this. Nothing is so easily obtained as the possession and enjoyment of the divine. For in this we live, move, and have our being. Though you think yourselves ever so stupid, dull, and incapable of sublime attainments, yet by prayer you may live in God Himself, with less difficulty or interruption than you live in the vital air. Will it not then be highly sinful to neglect prayer? But this I trust you will not, when you have learnt the method, which is exceedingly easy. I believe the best manner of meditating is as follows. When by an act of lively faith you are placed in the presence of God, recollect some truth wherein there is substance and food. Pause gently and sweetly thereon, not to employ the reason, but merely to calm and fix the mind. For you must observe that your principal exercise should ever be the presence of God. Your subject, therefore, should rather serve to stay the mind than exercise the understanding. From this procedure, it will necessarily follow that the lively faith in a God immediately present in our inmost soul will produce an eager and vehement pressing inwardly into ourselves and a restraining all our senses from wandering abroad. This serves to extricate us speedily from numberless distractions. To remove us far from external objects and to bring us nigh unto our God, who is only to be found in our inmost centre, which is the Holy of Holies, wherein he dwells. When we are thus fully introverted and warmly penetrated throughout with a living sense of the divine presence, when the senses are all recollected and withdrawn from the circumference to the centre, and the soul is sweetly and silently employed on the truths we have read, not in reasoning, but in feeding thereon, and in animating the will by affection, rather than fatiguing the understanding by study. When the affections are in this state, no matter how difficult it may appear at first, we must allow them sweetly to repose and peacefully to drink in that of which they have tasted. We should therefore, in stillness and repose, with respect, confidence and love, swallow the blessed food of which we have tasted. This method is indeed highly necessary and will advance the soul farther in a short time than any other in a course of years. Our direct and principal exercise should consist in the contemplation of the divine presence. We should be exceedingly watchful and diligent in recalling our dissipated senses as the most easy method of overcoming distractions. By simply turning inwards, we wage insensibly a very advantageous, though indirect war with the senses. Though recollection is difficult in the beginning, because the habit the soul has acquired of being always from home, once it becomes a little accustomed to it, it will soon be rendered perfectly easy and become delightful. Such is the experimental taste and sense of his presence. when the divine presence is granted us, and we gradually relish silence and repose. This experimental feeling and taste of the presence of God introduces the soul into the second degree of prayer, which is attainable as well by the illiterate as the learned. Some favoured souls, indeed, are indulged with it, even from the beginning. When the soul has been for some time exercised in the presence, it finds that it is gradually enabled to approach God with facility. That recollection is attended with much less difficulty, and that prayer becomes easy, sweet, and delightful. But the method must now be altered, and that which I prescribe should be followed with courage and fidelity, without being disturbed by the difficulties we may encounter. First, as soon as the soul by faith places itself in the presence of God, it becomes recollected before Him. Let it remain thus for a little time, in a profound and respectful silence. If, at the beginning, in forming the act of faith, you feel some little pleasing sense of the divine presence, remain there without being troubled for a subject. And proceed no further, but carefully cherish this sensation while it continues. As soon as it abates, the will may be excited by some tender affection, and if by the first moving thereof it finds itself reinstated in sweet peace, let it there remain. The smothered fire must be gently fanned, but as soon as it is kindled, we must cease that effort, lest we extinguish it by our own activity. I would warmly recommend never to finish prayer without remaining some time after in a respectful silence. is also of the greatest importance for the soul to go to prayer with courage and such a pure and disinterested love as seeks nothing from God but the ability to please Him and to do His will. Go then to prayer, not that you may enjoy spiritual delights, but that you may be either full or empty, just as it pleases God. This will preserve you in an evenness of spirit, in desertion as well as in consolation, and prevent your being surprised at aridity or the apparent repulses of God.
We go to the meeting.
For God has no other
Sure.
desire than to impart Himself to the loving soul that seeks
Yeah,
Him.
I'm good actually.
Yet He frequently
I'm gonna stay here
considers Himself
tonight. I'll go tomorrow.
that the soul may be roused from sloth and impelled to seek Him with fidelity and love. I conjure you, my dearly beloved, who sincerely wish to give up yourselves to God, that after you have made the donation, you will not snatch yourselves back again. Remember, a gift once presented is no longer at the disposal of the donor. Abandonment is a matter of the greatest importance in our process. It is the key to the inner court, so that whosoever knows truly how to abandon themselves soon becomes perfect. We must therefore continue steadfast and immovable. Listen to the voice of natural reason. Great faith produces great abandonment. We must confide in God